Okay, it is now 1 minute past 6. This is the Town of Alton Capital Improvement Program, CIP Committee meeting, Monday, August 24th, 2026 at 6:01 p.m. at the Town Hall. We have an agenda, and we have 5 members here, so we have a quorum. Starting with Karen, would you please state your name and who you represent? Okay.
My thing is not working.
Hit the button, the big button.
I did. Karen Ehrenberg, community member.
Roger Sample, planning board member.
Frank Rich, community member, chairman.
Pat O'Brien, citizen member.
Vice chairman.
Yeah, the vice chair part, yep.
Andrew Morse, Selectman Rep.
And Cameron Armstrong, Land Use Coordinator for the town.
Thank you. The agenda starts with the discussion of last year's CIP plan 2026 through 2031. Every one of the members here were on last year's committee. Do we really need to have a discussion on that, or is there something that, Cam, that you want to mention first before because I don't want to hold the heads up. I want to try to get them out of here.
No, that was just a carryover from the attempted first meeting that the board had, just to go over the funding and unfunding of last year. So if you want to move any discussion item to the end of the agenda, that would be fine.
Thank you for doing that memorandum. So just for the record, okay, the funded part of the CPI appropriations for last year, there was $2,204,000 funded with various different areas, and there was 812 that was not funded or unfunded or not funded or partially funded. Okay, do we know what was partially funded, Cam?
It was the single line item for $45,000 for grounds and maintenance vehicle and equipment. It was partially funded at $25,000, but the request was for $45,000.
Okay, so that was the only one that was partially funded.
Correct.
Okay. Does any board members have any questions before I move it right to our heads?
No.
Department heads? No? Okay, great. So, police department, up, please. Thank you. And if you guys would put your speakers on and give us your titles and names, please, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Hit the green. They gotta be green.
Green light, please.
Hit the big button.
Oh, there we go. We're check. All right, here we go. Adam Paincho, Chief of Police, Alton.
Bill Tullius, Lieutenant with Alton PD.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for hearing our CIP agenda items tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Great. It's your show. Please,
Sounds
please share
good.
with us what you're looking to try to accomplish. And
Will do. I'll start with, I believe it's 1, which deals with the police detail revolving account specific to the police vehicles and equipment. Everybody have that one in front of them? So looking to do same thing we did last year, essentially, is appropriate $40,000 in 2027. And the purpose for this is to establish a fund to pay for police vehicles. The total replacement cost on a police cruiser, when you take the actual cruiser cost and the equipment, is about $80,000, which is pretty expensive. You know, a cruiser may only cost, $50,000, $60,000, but we're, $30,000 in equipment and things like that. So they're very expensive. And we have a good fleet. It is an aging fleet. One in particular, we have one of our cars is going downhill rapidly. We're looking to probably get that swapped out pretty soon. So looking to just continue that fund.
So our conversation last year was quite extensive, and I believe we started this program with the 40,000 last year. and it was for just that reason, replacing vehicles. But there was the conversation of, because we weren't sure whether or not there'd be details. Details have been paying for the cars.
Yeah.
And weren't sure whether there'd be details, but then the co-op came and gave you a lot of details. How does that,
Yeah, we've still got details. Details are going, I'd say, strong. This has been a pretty good detail year. So our police detail revolving account is funded fairly well. What's the balance in that right now?
I'm not sure of the balance on that. The one thing I could speak to is the fact that it's fairly consistent. You know, there's ebbs and flows in the amount, in the details, but there's fairly consistent. The thing that is most variable in the time that it used to be the detail funds used to fund the cruisers, and the main difference being the cruisers were $25,000 or $30,000, and now they're, you know, $50,000 and $80,000 once they're upfitting. So it just doesn't line up with the expenses don't line up with the income from those details, and it's not like you're referencing. It's not a steady income source. So the fund was established to offset and augment that inconsistency in the funding source. But yeah, we had you know, adequate details.
it almost seemed though that 40,000 was for just in case you didn't get details. Does anybody else recall that?
I don't think so. I did have a conversation with outgoing Chief Todd McDougal specifically about that. I didn't get that impression, but I could be mistaken.
This is actually something that I kind of spearheaded, only because I saw how vehicles were falling apart, and I believe at the time we had Selectman Bonapane on board, who had more of a depth of knowledge due to his outside involvement with the cruisers. So it was my suggestion at the time. Chief McDougal was not asking to be part of the CIP, and it was actually something that I had suggested was, if we're going to potentially have vehicles failing and there's going to be emergent need for replacement, then we should have a CRF established. And the idea was to have enough money in there for the replacement of a car. So in that emergency situation, they would be able to buy one. However, if they're seeing inflation and year over year, the detail fund is not building enough to sustain the fleet that they currently have, because correct me if I'm wrong, you're not looking to add to the fleet.
No.
So if that detail fund isn't going to sustain the replacement year over year, then,
I mean, because we talked quite extensively, McDougal did, about they were gonna take one car and whether or not they would have Wayne fix it, and another car was gonna move up and all this stuff, and the 40,000 was kind of depending upon details.
Yeah.
And then
Our
co-op came
police detail revolving account is healthy enough right now to, I believe, cover the cost of a new cruiser. We are looking at actually maybe even sooner than 2027 to, one of our cars is aging out really quick, our K9 car specifically, it gets a lot of miles on it. So we are looking to probably pull the trigger on a replacement car, not adding a car, but a replacement car for that one in fairly short order, and put that one out to the yard, so.
The way I read, Roger, and it's beginning to come back to me how we pulled this together. If you read what we did, the way we kind of worked this was, there's only really gonna be enough money for one vehicle.
Right.
If you look, in other words, it doesn't accumulate, okay? There's no big reserve for police vehicles. It starts at, we said 27,000, or capital reserve fund balance was 40,000. Then if we put in 27, 40,000, we'd have 80 grand. If they spend 80,000, okay, we're back down to 40, you know? So if I look at what we're depositing each and every year, it's 40 grand. Am I saying that right?
no, I think you're right. I think we're both, or everybody's kind of on the same page here. What Roger is not remembering incorrectly. He's spot on. Like, the whole reason we started this was because we saw that the police detail fund may not replace these vehicles in the future. And my biggest thing since getting on this board is trying to determine what needs to be replaced in the future, so that way we can plan for it. And just based on the information that was exchanged last year, it was pretty clear to me that that fund was not going to be sustainable for the replacement of their entire fleet. Because it hasn't been, because they have vehicles with 160, 170,000 miles on them that are breaking down and going out of service.
That's correct.
So just based on that information alone is kind of where I made this proposal.
So I think what would be helpful for us, Chief, would be to have, if you could get to Cam, the exact amount that you have right now in,
Yes, I just checked with Laura on that a week ago. It was, I could probably pull that up here.
if you could pull it up, that would be great. Because it would be good for us to know what that is.
Yeah.
So that even going forward, I mean, if we're seeing that this thing is like $200,000 or $300,000, then we're gonna say, do you really need the money?
Understandable.
You know,
Yeah.
and that helps us balance this whole thing, and it's just like, Pat said, okay, we just don't want you not funded, but by the same token, we don't wanna overfund you.
Understand.
Yeah, so that's basically what this fund was for. So if you didn't have the money, if you didn't get the details, you didn't have the money, and you needed a cruiser, there it is.
There it
But-
is,
But
right.
if you had the details, this fund would just keep rolling.
Understandable.
Right, and
Yeah.
we don't want it to grow just arbitrarily, you know? We got better things to be doing with it, as much as we
Yeah.
love the police
No,
department.
understandable, yeah, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
no, but-
understandable.
But I could see funding it again for another 40, because 40 isn't gonna get you anything.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, yeah, agreed.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you got 80,000 in there, so, another year of funding, and then next year, maybe we'll look at it,
we'll
see how
look at it
things are
and see
going.
what it is, but
Depending on what
it
they
would
need
just
for
be good
vehicles.
for us to know what that fund is now.
All right, it is,
I mean, you guys like details anyway, because that's money in your pocket.
yeah, it's, agreed. Yeah, but details do go in cycles. I mean, we have
Oh,
definitely
sure,
had some
yeah.
years where it's a little slow.
Everything goes in cycles.
As of July 27th, the revolving account was 130,911, so just 131,000.
Okay, so another question. Do you use that fund for anything else?
Not traditionally.
Well, there's two lease payments currently coming out of there, so it's already expended. And
25,000 each.
Lease payments?
the lease payments, so we currently have lease payments already coming out of there, so and that, I guess that's where I was trying to be clear on it, is speaking to that we don't want to over expend, and how I understood with that 40,000 is to augment, because it's known that, if we were to replace the fleet as needed, that the funding in there wouldn't support the whole fleet.
Okay,
That's been
So how many vehicles do we have in the fleet?
10 vehicles.
10 vehicles?
Yeah.
And at any given time, how many vehicles are actually capable of running?
All 10.
All 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All 10 right now?
All 10 are fully operational. I can tell you it is weekly that one, maybe two vehicles go in the shop, though. Yeah.
So when we replace the vehicle, do we take all the equipment off and put it back?
We do traditionally, however, Chief Heath and Frugal McDougal, as we call them, recycled a lot of gear over the years. The equipment in all but two of our cruisers is so antiquated at this point, it can't be swapped to anything. It was in the excursions, if you remember those.
Okay. So we're gonna need-
no more, we need some new
We're
equipment.
gonna need new equipment?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so that figure that the LT came up with, he came up with that 80,000, for vehicle plus equipment, about 80,000, right in that ballpark. And that's also getting a good deal on if we can get a leftover Charger or something like that. That's not even taking account of brand new Tahoe.
And over the course of the 10, at one point, will you retire one for a new one?
It's not really based on age, it's really based on mileage.
Mileage.
And so I can say, like, our K-9 car literally got the new new top end rebuilt this past year. That thing's fading quickly. It was in the shop last week. Last night he called me about an issue with it. So that thing's phasing out quickly, and like for that car in particular, we're looking at, we don't want to be down that car because that's a crucial car. So we're looking to probably get that swapped out pretty soon. The other cars are in pretty good shape. We have 3 fairly new Tahoes. Those are running good. There's some issues with the oil in those, but they're running good. The pickup truck is good to go. The Chargers that we do have, they're good cars. Things go wrong with them here and there, but overall, our fleet, with the exception of our K-9 car, is pretty reliable right now with no major foreseeable issues. We could blow an engine tomorrow, but
An interesting number would be, because it's not in the CIP, but typically in a given year, what kind of maintenance costs would you have for the fleet of 10?
the total fleet,
Yeah,
I can tell you what we put in our budget, like this year, we have already we're already above that.
I believe, we've been building the budget, I think our 3-year average is right around it should be in that sheet there.
Yeah.
It's right on the 15 or so thousand annually.
Sorry?
15,000 annually.
for all 10 of them?
Yeah,
15,000?
yeah.
That's
Tires have their own line, but that's
Fleet
the
expense,
Yeah.
right?
That seems
Wow,
low.
that's pretty good.
15,000, yeah.
Okay, so that's
So out
oil
of-
changes, tires, inspections, whatever it might be, wow. Cool.
So out of this account, you have the 2 leases, 50,000, 25 each, you
It's
said?
25,000.
Yeah. There's 2 leases. We just did the motorcycle payoffs on those
Yeah.
at that last meeting. So the 2 expenses that are on those, and I think one's has had 2 draws and one's had 1 draw on it.
So by this next term, you'll have 50,000 taken out of that for your 2 leases, so that gets you back down to 80.
Correct.
So if we put another 40, that gets them through the next year, and then we can talk about it again next year if they need another, depending on what the,
Cool,
Yeah,
cool.
whatever the things are.
yes.
Details, there we go.
Yes, detail. Mr. Rich, another answer to the, how long could we foresee some of the cruisers lasting? It's really, I don't want to give you a depends answer, but it wouldn't be unrealistic to get another 5 years out of our regular line Chargers if they are holding up. The Tahoes, we could perhaps get another, I don't know, get maybe 8 years out of. So they're holding up pretty well. They're good vehicles. So it's just that, the K-9 car particularly
That's
just gets
terrific.
them out. Yeah.
That's great.
So let me ask you this. So that's a lot of years that we wouldn't have. So out of these details, do you take a piece of the detail and put it in a fund, this fund, to build that along with us?
It all the police detail money goes in one place, as I understand, which is to the police detail revolving account.
They charge a cruiser rate and administrative rate. The amount varies that the town gets depending on the officer, and it's kind of convoluted on that front. But that is what funds this. That's what's developed this $130,000 or so that used to fund the fleet for 10 years, and then it's just the cost of the cruisers have exceeded the replacement costs
So
of
the
the.
details fund that fund that's on 130, 140, whatever
Correct.
it was.
That's the sole funding source.
That's R40's working and that's working.
Yep.
To
That works,
create a
yeah.
big number.
Yeah, correct. Every hour that a police officer works on a detail now with the current rate, $24 of that hour goes into this, is cruiser maintenance, and then $21 for administrative fee.
Good.
Super.
Yeah, it's great. The details work out really well. For guys that want to work them, it works out great.
Yeah, but like you said, you can have a big year one year and nothing the next year.
Yeah.
I'm not saying nothing, but.
That is true.
Slim pickings,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah, but as the LT stated, it's been fairly consistent year to year.
We track it and see what it does year over year. It varies a little bit, but
And it's not just Alton details. We'll go do a detail at the Loudon Speedway, for instance. We had an officer over there this weekend, or do one in New Durham. And also, if we can't fill a detail, it wouldn't be uncommon to have a Gilmington officer on Main Street working a detail.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I just have 2 questions. What is the typical mileage one of your vehicles will run before it needs replacement? If you can ballpark, and I know that's a tough question.
Yeah, like, our K-9 car is in the 180, 160?
61, 70.
160, 170.
Okay.
But that car gets a lot more use than the other cars.
Sure.
So, like right now, they're in the, $50,000, $60,000 ballpark, I'd say as average, with the exception of the two newer Tahoes. That's about where they're at. So, when the Chargers, especially what we've seen through repairs, is when the Chargers are in the 120, 130 ballpark, they're at the shop
Okay.
on a regular basis.
Thank you.
But that, we're a while out from that with the line 5 Chargers that we have though, besides the K-9 car.
Just based on some real rough math, if you don't mind, because I'm a math and numbers guy. So it's 10 cruisers at 80,000 apiece. In today's money, it's $800,000 to replace the fleet. If we take that over 8 years, it's $100,000 a year. Do you know what your ebbs and flows average is into that count annually?
We had the spreadsheet down at the PD. I believe she does, anywhere between $50,000 and $70,000. That's why, I think Chief McDougal was tracking on this issue for the past few years, was seeing that it wouldn't sustain.
Sure. So even with that, if it's 60, then we're good.
Yeah.
Our 40,000 there, 60,000 is 100,000 a year.
Yeah,
Now, what again, none of this plan ever accounts for is inflation. So, I don't know. Maybe Cam's got some ideas that we can talk about as we round out the end of this thing. But if we got a 20-year vehicle in here and it's 10 years out and we're not thinking inflation and these are today's numbers, there's nothing in here for when that 10-year mark comes around or 100,000 short. So I don't think that's going to be as big of a problem with the PD, but
In the vehicles, as you know, a police officer without a police cruiser is fairly useless unless they're on foot in the bay or something like that on a foot patrol, which we don't do a ton of foot patrols because we have a big town. Besides our salaries, the police officer salaries, the cruisers is our lifeline. Fuel, tires, cruiser maintenance, and the cars themselves, that's our lifeline. We can't be proactive cops and respond without cars. So that's our thing. We got a fairly modest building. Our police equipment is fairly low cost overall. We get grant funding for a lot of things, but cruisers is that one thing that we need to sustain and make sure that we've got reliable cars and all that stuff.
Cool. So, right now, it's 40 grand.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we'll visit it again next year. Okay.
Sounds good.
And we'll hope that you have a big year.
Detail year, yeah. I'll tell you, the guys get after the details. It's about half the PD likes to get out there and work the details. The other half just isn't interested in them, but it works out well.
Yeah. It's always the way.
Yes.
Any other questions from the board?
I just see total withdrawal from police building expansion capital reserve fund, and I see $100,000.
is that the next project that's up?
You want to roll into the building ones? Would you like me to roll right into that one?
Yes,
The building-
please.
Yep, sure.
Yeah.
So the police building expansion CRF, as you know, I think you were talking about earlier, was not funded last year. We had asked for 10,000 in that. That was not funded last year. So this year we'd be looking to fund that for $10,000. And we were looking at the tape earlier from the discussions last year with Chief McDougal and the board, referenced this particular CRF. We don't have an expansion per se. There's nothing, we're not looking to expand. It's really for those emergencies. Our septic goes out, the HVAC rolls out, our heating system rolls out, our hot water thing, who knows? The roof collapses, it could be several things. But the big ticket items would be what would be looking at this fund covering us. I can tell you right now, we have nothing on our horizon that we're specifically looking to do as far as expansion or anything like that. It'd be more like if we needed to do something more of an emergency basis. And the current balance on that
Is the 10,262 from the 1 year that it was funded back in 24? Yeah, 25.
Last year, we did chat pretty extensively on this. I think we were talking about whether we were gonna create a new capital reserve or continue on with this one. And I think it kind of came down to the fact that this one was already established, and that in the way that it was established, it could also be used as a maintenance account. So rather than creating a whole new account, the idea was just to use this one. Although, I will admit that the title, as the chief already has mentioned, is a little misleading. Like, they're not intended on expanding, it's just there for various upgrades as needed. I believe we asked Chief McDougal last year, but as the new chief, I'll ask you, because this is kind of the information that we need total, and I see on here that, you know, the total request would be, is it 100,000?
Total project cost?
Yeah.
Yes.
So is that the number that you feel comfortable having in that count as a rainy day?
I do. And I don't wanna say it's a completely arbitrary number, but it's, I mean, it's, yeah, I think that's a comfortable number for things that we may come up with.
Do you think we should change the name of this to upgrades
We
versus
went through that
expansion?
It's not a bad idea. I personally don't like expansion.
I mean, expansion means to me something
was an issue.
much bigger, you know?
Agreed, yeah.
I think that's how they left it in the last meeting as well. It was, the intention was to
How
change
does the
the name.
board feel
It
about
was, but
that?
there was something, there was something why we didn't. I can't remember what it was, but.
We literally watched it. You discussed it at length.
Yeah.
I can say we're on board with it if you wanna change the name, because it's really not
Something, I
fitting.
forget.
I think it
can't
came down
remember.
to finance and trustees of trust
Yes,
funds.
it's already
The fact
established.
that we would have to establish a new one, then wait a year, and then get another vote to transfer the money, and it was gonna be a pretty convoluted process.
Well, actually, I think it started 3 years ago.
Probably.
When we developed it. And we gave it a name, and then all of a sudden, last year, when it showed up, it had this totally different name.
Well, no, this, I agree that this just appeared on the plan like 3 years ago, but this was originally established back when they did the garage addition and all that, like 15 years ago. So I think the idea was that they wanted to try to use that same account versus creating a new one.
Cam, can we revisit
Yeah.
finding out why we can't just change this to upgrade versus expansion? Because expansion just really doesn't fit the mold here. mold.
Makes sense to
And it
us.
doesn't match the rest of the verbiage for all of the other building maintenance capital reserve
That's right,
funds.
it doesn't.
So. it
I
would
will
be-
check into that tomorrow morning. And, I just want to draw the board's attention to this. So the request last year for this was $20,000.
Okay. Sorry, gentlemen. Something cooking in town.
No problem.
So the request last year for this line item was $20,000. Your sheet still reflects that $20,000 ask. The PD did come in and ask for $10,000 this year, but where this was unfunded last year, I kept it at that $20,000 for the board to consider if we wanted to fund it 20, if you all wanted to fund it or request, excuse me, recommend it 20.
Because we didn't fund it last year.
Correct.
Right, okay. Everybody okay with that? Any questions? Roger?
So, as far as we were concerned, it was gonna be funded.
Correct.
It's when it went to the selectmen that it didn't get funded.
That's the one thing that's not clear on here. Did it even make it to the voters, or was it voters?
So that is, I don't have a good clear picture of who removed what, because this also goes to the planning board as well. I don't know if they made a different recommendation or if it came out of the board of selectmen.
So the only thing I'm getting at is, we've been through this default budget here now for a couple of years, and so people are kind of watching the spending. So maybe we shouldn't try and make up, you know, on our part, trying to make up for what we didn't get last year. Why don't we just go with the 10 and try and make it doable?
Sure.
Rather than pump things up, you know, okay, you didn't get it last year, let's double it, you get it this year. Because in the end, you may not, it may say unfunded again,
Sure.
you know? Just my thoughts.
I don't see any reason why not to do that. Chief, is there anything that you can think of that, right now you only have 10 grand in there, okay? Is there anything that's, you know, troubling you that any
No.
kind of thing that looks like it's gonna,
We have some minor things, but nothing, it's
nothing
definitely not in
serious?
that ballpark, yeah,
Okay.
yep. So no, nothing on the radar currently.
Okay, so there's
No, that
nothing
goes.
really on the radar that
No.
says, we got an air conditioning
Nope.
unit problem? or-
Everything, most of the stuff was recently checked. Our septic was actually just pumped
Okay.
this past week. Everything looks like it's in good order, so I don't foresee anything, but
So we'll banter around this, instead of 20, maybe it will only be 10.
sounds good.
You know,
Yep.
depending on,
And now you have 20, and that'll get you a septic system.
Yeah.
Or a heating system.
Exactly, yeah. They'll fund
Then
it.
we'll
well, that's
see.
that's only if you'll do it.
Yeah, Roger, you
Okay?
doing it? Yeah.
Because
We'll
I'm gonna
put
tell
that
you
out the
right
bid.
now, septic systems I'm hearing about,
No, I know it. It's
crazy, man. Okay, so Roger, we'll make sure that you get that
Okay.
contract.
I'll do it.
Okay,
Good with the next one?
yes, go ahead.
All right, so this next one is, equipment, specifically though, it's for our body cameras and other police equipment. So as you know, we get some grant funding for high dollar items like body cameras and body armor and things like that. So the current system that we have is a company called Axon. They make this device I'm wearing right now, which is on standby mode. And they're very expensive. It's a whole system. And we've got a current 5-year subscription with Axon, the company, which started in 2025, so that's expiring in 2030. So this fund is really to just get ahead of this for, anticipated costs with, in 2030, because this equipment is very expensive and the cost is definitely not going down. And it has become the standard. I don't see our agency or any agency ever going back to not having these devices. They're incredible. But there's a lot behind it. It's not just the camera. There's a whole cloud system. There's docs for these. This integrates with the way we prosecute cases. Everything's integrated with the county attorney's office. It's a bigger system than you just looking at a camera. And if I was I would probably ask in the future that we actually expand this even more, because I'd like to ideally get the same system in our cruisers. So right now, our cruisers don't have cameras. I think a lot of people assume that we do. We have cameras, and if we're rolling hot to a call, like the boys are on right now, en route with lights and sirens, their body camera is rolling, but you're probably looking at a steering wheel. So I would like, this company has another system that has front and rear cameras that integrates with this whole system. I'd like to look at, expanding to those at some point. But bottom line, if we renew our subscription at the end of this 5 years, it's gonna be expensive. So the ask this year would be I recommend $35,000 to be placed into this CRF to continue to fund these type of devices.
Okay, so, Chief, you estimate in 2030 to be 228,000.
Yes, sir. And that's a system one-for-one what we have currently, which is just the body cameras.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, how did you estimate it?
I apologize, but I didn't personally estimate that. I was hoping my LT be here to answer that question for you.
One of
But
the-
it's in talking to I know we talked to Axon, the company, and what we paid in 2025 and what we anticipate it being, and that's a fairly conservative number too.
Yeah, and the only reason I asked that question, because it was just brought up, we're not including inflation.
Yeah.
Okay? And we're gonna ask each head to keep thinking about inflation, even if it's, right now inflation is at about 3.5% for this year. Last year it was 2.8%. When it was COVID, it was 8%, But on average, if you look at our country, the way it has averaged, it's somewhere in between 3 and 4%, I think, if you wouldn't mind, okay, for this exercise, we'll go with the 228,000.
Yeah.
but going forward, we want you guys to think about
Inflation.
what the inflated number will be,
Will do.
okay, because we really need to account for that.
That makes sense. I don't think, from what I understand, I don't think that did factor inflation
probably
in.
wasn't.
I highly doubt it. I'd be surprised
Well, we're
if
gonna
it did,
ask
so.
each head to do
Yeah,
that.
will do.
Going forward, because, it just, and some equipment
Yeah,
may go up exponentially. We have no idea.
I think this will. I think this is one of those things.
Some equipment can go down. I mean,
It can go down.
well, I mean, look at the TV, when the TV, the first year the TV comes out, the TV, $1 million.
Yeah.
And then as time, everybody's getting, you can get $300.
And that could totally happen.
So, I mean, the
Yeah.
two can work out, so.
Well, technology can change things, okay? There's no question about it. But let's at least try to be prepared.
Excellent. Right now, there's not a competitor, so Axon is this company. Right now, there are some competitors, I wouldn't even put them in the same ballpark, though. The competitors to Axon, they're way down here as far as what they can do and offer and have. So they're kind of almost like a sole source in the entire country right now for body camera systems, because the second best thing really isn't that great. Agencies have horrible reviews of those. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop.
When that second best guy steps up his game.
Exactly.
Now
That could
this
work
guy
out.
has to be a little more realistic.
Which would be great, yeah, so hopefully that happens, and 5 years is a decent amount of time where I could totally see something like that happening, but I'm not gonna hold my breath, but I could see it happening.
I was reading an article the other day that even the Pentagon, all right, sources out their military to 4 or 5 different sources because they don't want one source.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them.
I
It's
don't
not a-
like sole
It's not a
source.
it's not a good thing to have it.
Agreed.
So, hopefully, we'll see these 2 and 3 guys step up to the plate, and there'll be a competitive nature for
That'd be
them.
great. I think I'm gonna start a body cam business.
Wait, don't retire on us.
Yeah, I'll wait 2 years, yeah. Yeah, agree with you 100%. So I will take into account inflation on everything, but obviously specifically this as well.
If you would,
Will do,
please.
absolutely.
I have a question. Is the 228 is just equipment? Is there a separation between whatever?
Subscription. It's service and equipment, so this is, the way Axon, we have the hardware, like the actual camera device, the docking stations, the equipment in our cruisers
Sure.
related to and then there's subscription. So we're paying a pretty hefty subscription with all these services as well. Cloud-based storage and all that
But a
stuff.
subscription isn't a CIP, is it? Isn't that an expense when you have a subscription? No? You can capitalize your subscription?
Anything that is a 10-year project, or sorry, $10,000 project or
Okay.
5 years of life, so where the subscription runs for the 5 year, that would be relatively within bounds of a CIP
Okay.
project.
Thank you. Appreciate that, thanks.
So that includes software,
Yeah, that's total out the
that's the
door.
whole
That's
package.
the whole package, yes, sir. Yeah.
including the camera and everything else.
Yep.
Do they fix the cameras too?
They do, and actually, they've been very good. We had a recent example, we have sensors on our equipment that also activate the cameras. We had some sensors that just were acting funky. We let them know, and they sent us new ones, no questions asked. Their customer service is actually pretty solid, and the responsiveness is good.
Great.
Yeah, we've had great luck with the company. They're a good company. Yeah.
I know you had mentioned the LT has a little bit more background on it, but just doing out the math, it looks like the 35K, even if we just do that annually, we're only gonna get to a total project cost of about 175.
175, right.
So my question would have been, like, do we know that there's grant funding on the horizon, or?
In talking to grants management as recently as last week, grant funding is looking solid right now. Obviously, that changes with administrations and things like that, and 5 years is a long ways away. Right now, grant funding is pretty solid, and we think it will be next year as well. What happens after that, though, that's a solid question. The grant opportunities for things like this, for police agencies and like body armor, is usually out there. Search and rescue type of stuff, body armor, transparency type of stuff like body cameras, there's usually funding for those type of things. So I'm fairly confident that there will be grant funding 5 years from now for, these type of devices.
Well, it would be good for us to know when you get the grant, if and
how
when, or
much.
when it's been applied for and when you think you're gonna know.
Absolutely, will
Okay,
do. Yeah.
so that we don't, if it's 228 grand, 5 years from now, and we only got 175, then we didn't do our job.
Exactly, yes.
Which is what makes me believe that the number is actually, what,
3% year on year would be $256,000 that project would cost.
Taking into account the inflation?
If you go 3% year on year for inflation up until 2030, it would be $256,000 for that cost.
Yeah, in the $30,000 number last year, just so you have an idea, Chief, typically what we do is we take the project cost, plot it in the year, and then, yeah, ideally, it's $35K a year, but this year it might be 10 grand, this year it might be 40 grand, based on the other needs in the town.
Gotcha.
And that's like what it boils down to at the end of this process for us. So having the annual ideal 35K is great, but sometimes that might shift slightly either way. That's why the total project cost is so important in the year of expenditure.
Yeah, understand.
Great. Any more questions from the board?
I'm good.
Chief, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, we appreciate it. Thank you for,
You do a great job,
Dana.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for supporting our community.
Of course, we're happy to be here and doing it. You all have a good night.
Two. Okay, Parks and Recreation.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I think we're just looking at the same project we typically are looking at, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, you're up, Cal.
Okay, so we had a modification to the project that is a reduction of $17,000. And the result of that was a fundraising effort from the Alton Youth League. And they had gifted the town, the Board of Selectmen accepted their gift in May of 2026 for a new green monster wall, which was better and different than what the town's plans were for that $30,000. The value of their donation is $73,410. So with that donation, the town was able to pivot and take that fence out of this plan and put those monies to other projects in that plan. And that was counting for the inflation, so that's why that changed. With the playgrounds and swings, that stayed the same. The accessible walking path increased $3,000, and then the playing field improvements increased $10,000 with inflation for approximately 2029. So that's the difference with this plan. The capital reserve fund has approximately $52,000 in it now. You may have different numbers, that's what I had calculated. So the typical request is the $12,500, but that would be at your discretion if you wanted to change that. But that's what this overall plan is, what we've been showing, and just is slightly different with taking that fence out. And that Youth League project is scheduled to be installed this year, so October, November, and the town is helping with that project through the Department of Public Works. They're providing some of the demolition labor to take down the existing fence.
Thank you to the Alton Youth League.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, for sure. Thank you all to the Alton Youth League.
It's excellent work, yeah.
It is.
Appreciate what
It's
they've
all
done.
donations with volunteers, and that's all the Alton Youth League.
Yeah, they did an excellent job. Can't wait to see the new wall.
Yeah.
Questions from the board?
And they had the vision to have it an upgraded wall, to have the professional look of that vinyl, the interlocking vinyl with the green monster color. So they wanted a quality product, and they provided that to the town.
So, when you say accessible walking paths, are we talking about handicap access?
That, ideally, it would be. It would be like a stone dust type of material or whatever was recommended by the Department of Public Works,
Right,
Board of Selectmen.
yeah. So it would be handicapped access?
It would be.
Yeah.
That's the intention, is for, to be able to be transverse through all abilities. So that would be wheelchairs, strollers, even walkers, like something that would be easier versus just grass and rocks and uneven terrain.
Right. So it would be stone dust?
That would be what it would, something like that. That would be what it is today. If it's a couple years from now, that might change.
And you're good with the 12.5, like that should be?
I think that would be
cover
fair
you for
because
this-
there is a good amount in that fund, and to keep that momentum going, to keep that funded, I think would be fair, but also it's understandable if that was to be changed, so whatever the committee and the selectmen want to do.
I don't think there's, on my side, I don't think there's anything wrong with the 12.5.
Okay.
No.
We're conservative, but we're going for that big picture.
Yep.
Cool. Questions? Roger? Okay. Karen?
Nope.
All set? Andy?
We're good.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you,
If anything comes up, please let me know. I'm happy to help answer any questions.
Inflation.
Yes, we plan for that.
Plan for inflation.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
Yes,
Minimum 3.5%.
okay,
Okay?
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Seth, you're up.
I have just one question, interim question. Are these seats for just this meeting, or are these for the year?
So what I did was take the previous years and update as much as I could with the information from last year, shifted things over from what was carried over last year, but this will be updated after every meeting and brought a new sheet to you.
I would just, I mean, always in the past, it was, you would just flip through.
Book style rather than top down.
Style.
Yes, sir.
I get a little lost with this.
I can make that change, not a problem.
Well, we're in Alton, New Hampshire, okay? I just wanted you to know, okay? Just in case you're lost. Okay, all right. Seth,
How's it going?
good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Not a problem. No problem.
Let's just, get to you. So how has the year gone so far for you?
So far, so good. So far, so good. I'll apologize ahead of time if you see me flipping through this map. I have, like 39 mechanical assets on top of all the other stuff, so they don't always end up being in the same order that they do on the sheet, so I end up going back and forth a lot.
Well, my father used to say, tell your problems to Jesus. He's the only one.
All right, fair enough.
So there you go, all right? Now it's on the record.
All right.
All right?
Yep.
Okay, Parks, DPW,
Page 5.
page 5. So before we even start, Seth, were there any surprises last year that you'd like to share with us? That we didn't know about, or weren't expecting?
Well, I didn't expect to lose the transmission in one of the pickup trucks last year, but that did happen. And, we were kind of looking between two of them, the 2015 Ford F-250 that was previously the cemetery's vehicle that got pushed into grounds and maintenance. And the truck that ended up losing the transmission, that was a 2015 Dodge 2500. That was the one that I was typically driving around day to day. That being said, I feel like the Ford and those two trucks now have different needs. The Dodge is now in better shape than the Ford was, so that kind of got moved around in my schedule. Also, adding the roll-off truck to the CIP wasn't there before.
Okay, so it says here that in 2027, we're gonna spend about 300 grand, okay, on a new truck, dump truck.
Yeah, so for
How
the,
do you feel about that?
for the past couple of years, I know I brought it up last year as well, truck 10, which is now H10 on here. That truck is our oldest truck, large truck in the fleet. It is experiencing issues. I would like to get that truck swapped out for another one. I know it obviously didn't happen last year, so I would like to start that process, but I have not yet.
And how much do we have? So, you also have,
So the other things this year listed under 27,
the asphalt roller
asphalt roller, an F-350.
350 truck.
Yes.
What about those?
So that H18, the Wolfpack roller, that's the small 5-ton roller we use for our paving jobs, that the highway department performs themselves, like sidewalk repairs and larger road patches. I believe that thing's a 1985. It has multiple safety questions. It really,
It's been rolled.
it's been rolled, yeah. Time to replace that piece of equipment. Also, the pickup truck that's in there for being replaced, that, again, I talked about last year, and that would be swapping that forward from grounds and maintenance to highway, giving grounds and maintenance the 2018 Dodge pickup from highway, so they have a newer vehicle that replaces the older one, and then putting another crew cab pickup truck into highway for moving of equipment and people.
All right, you wanna say that again now? Okay.
I know,
All right.
it's confusing, it goes back and
What
forth.
are we doing? What are we swapping?
Swap, okay.
What are we giving Parks and Rec, and what are you trying to, you're gonna take this 350,
And put it in highway, and then replace it,
you're gonna replace it?
yeah, from
Okay.
from highway capital reserve.
And where is the 350 going?
That would be the one going to highway and being replaced.
That 350 is coming from their grounds and maintenance side, moving into highway, and then being replaced as a highway piece of equipment.
Yeah, using the highway capital reserve, not grounds and maintenance.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the 6-ton trailer.
Yep, that is currently our pipe trailer.
How old is the asphalt roller?
I believe it's 1985.
1985?
Yeah.
What is the name brand on it?
Wolfpack.
Wolfpack?
Yeah. I'm not even sure that they're in business anymore.
This 50 grand, okay?
I
Is
would-
that a used unit?
That would be a used roller, yes, yeah.
Okay, because an asphalt roller is not gonna cost, it's gonna cost more than 50,000, so it's a used one.
It's a used one, and it's also a smaller one, like I said, it's right around the 5-ton range.
What name brand is that you're looking at?
Whatever we can get for that price. I'm not biased, whether it's a Hom, you know,
I would recommend, if you can get a good used Hom, that's the one to get,
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Is it gonna be a vibratory roller?
Yes,
Or is it?
it's
or a
vibratory.
static roller?
Vibratory double drum, yeah.
Double drum?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we move the 6-ton trailer? Do you need one? Or is it,
We end up borrowing the water departments a lot.
okay.
That trailer is really too small for anything we're moving around. It's good for moving pipes and stuff like that, but as far as moving a mini excavator or something like that, it's really too small for that.
So if you spend all that money, and we only put in 60 grand into your equipment,
We're negative 60.
I'm sorry?
We're negative 60 or 59. Doesn't it say that?
160, you'll have about 60 grand left.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
You'd be 60 grand in the hole.
Yeah, you'll be in the hole, that's what I said, we'll be 60 grand down.
I'm sorry?
We don't have 60 grand left, we're in the hole 60 grand.
Oh,
It's a
we're
negative in
almost
front of
60
that.
grand.
And just for some added context, the highway department equipment was not funded last year, and so there was some equipment deferral that got slid into 2027 as it was not, it was slated for replacement in 2026, but the funding didn't allow for it, so it got slid to 27.
That's why I was asking what we could slide to the next year, but keep passing the buck.
Didn't get funded.
We're getting to the point where things are in
None of it was funded.
rough shape.
So we didn't fund 160 grand.
Well, we might have. We might have recommended it, but it didn't.
It didn't go in.
That's right.
Ah,
Yes, just for clarity, the last file I have from last year's CIP, the board submitted $160,000 for funding last year. That did not make the final cut.
so we didn't fund it last year.
No, the board recommended to fund it last year.
Recommended to
We
fund.
You
recommended
recommended, but the board took it
it.
out.
Selectmen moved it.
Okay.
Who said that? Yeah.
Has there ever been a time where the general public has voted down a CRF?
Not since I've been here.
Because I like to believe the general public in Alton anyway respects the idea of saving versus significant tax impacts. And if we continue to not fund CRFs, we're gonna have significant tax impacts. So if the general public have never voted down a CRF, why would we not support a CRF?
We tried.
Well, we did support it, okay, but
We tried.
the board chose to,
You need to say the selectmen.
the board.
Well,
the
it
selectmen
might,
chose
might
not
have been
to.
the budget committee.
Okay.
It might have been the budget committee, just so you know, it's not all the
Yes,
selectmen's.
Okay. Remember, we're an advisory group.
Yeah.
Okay, and we only advise. We don't make the final decision, the board makes the final decision.
The boards,
And I guess,
the boards make, the boards, multiple boards.
Yes.
okay,
It,
well,
it might not even reach us if it gets to the
Yeah.
budget committee.
right, so,
There were some public works that weren't funded last year to keep the ask low.
so, Seth, let me ask you this question, okay, and please be very honest with us.
Yep.
Is there anything in this grouping that you could do without, okay, that isn't gonna cost you angst?
I mean, no, but I think, you know, a lot of this equipment was bought in 1922, so to try and keep it in that life cycle of keeping, you know, a good fleet that we can rely on.
How many dump trucks do we have?
We have 3 10-wheelers, 3 6-wheelers, and 3 of like the 19.5 class truck in the highway department and another in grounds and maintenance.
So, just let me ask this question, okay, if we were to retire this truck, because, you know, or use it very seldom,
Yeah.
okay, can you do the job, your job, with the dump trucks that you have?
Depends on the job. Some days yes, some days no. Wintertime, no.
I was gonna say, what about the
Wintertime,
plow
yeah.
routes?
Yeah.
Plow routes are the most important.
In the wintertime, what would you have to do? Would you have to rent, or get, you know, someone, rent out a truck? Not a truck, but
Yeah, it would look like hiring a truck out or
Yeah,
asking the remaining trucks to take a 4-hour route and make it a 5 to 6 hour route to make up coverage for that missing truck.
right.
And then that's barring any breakdowns. You know, if we lose another truck due to a mechanical issue, then you're really behind the 8 ball, especially if it's snowing 1 inch an hour and you're not gonna get on that road for another 6 hours.
Yeah, my 2 cents is, we need the truck, but we might not need the roller, or we could rent one for the amount that we use it to save this next year, if it's not usable for next summer. That would be mine, that would help us with the 50,000. Would get us closer than if we just added 10 to it, then we wouldn't be in the negative. That would be my 2 cents solution, because the truck is valuable. I mean, trucks are, they're valuable.
Yeah.
Here's the other shoe. You need it for winter, and that's for plowing. So a lot of the roads now, you're plowing with the 1-tons.
Some of them, yeah, but in a snowstorm, all of these trucks are in use.
Right. But a 550 or a 600 could do the same job as this truck here that's,
That's a 10-wheeler.
10-wheel. Where the heck did it go?
Yeah.
Only having been there and lived that, I think the problem would be spreading material.
Yeah.
You'd be making
That truck goes
15
all the way
more
up.
trips with a 1-ton than you were that 10-wheeler. Which adds again, so if the guy's doing their route, that's taking them 3 hours, 3.5 hours on a normal route, say, now they're at 5
There's another
hours.
reason not to have the public works up there on 28.
Yeah, the plow routes are built around the capacity of the truck.
Right. Seth, if you, have you ordered this truck?
No, that's why I say I have not started this process yet.
Okay, so how long will it take to get it?
Depending on outfitting.
Yeah.
Close to 8 months to a year, depending on where.
Wow.
Yeah.
If that be the case, that could be the end of '27,
Yeah. Like I said, depending on what we actually end up with.
if you
where
ordered it
comes from.
now. Right. 7, 8, 12 months. Have you considered leasing the truck?
I have considered leasing the other larger equipment. I have not personally thought about leasing the truck itself. I know our roll-off truck is currently a lease, so I mean,
Do you think you could look into that?
I could look into that, yeah.
What about private drivers?
Private trucking?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's what I asked.
You need it for wintertime, you could get by the rest of the year, it's just all of a sudden in winter, you need it.
Depending
You
on,
used to have private contractors plowing.
depending on the job, like I said, we could get by with lesser trucks, depending on the job. Some days we don't use all of them, but then the job takes longer. You know, if we're out on the other end of town and you need an empty truck, a truck with clean stone and a truck with gravel, if you take one of those trucks away, now you're talking about hauling back and forth across town with it, depending on the job.
So what if we only use this truck, the one that we have now, during the winter months?
Then it sits the rest of the season and it's not good for it either. These trucks nowadays aren't like the old trucks. They're full of electronics and they like to move. They like to be run down the road. They don't like to sit and idle. They don't want to sit around.
That's true, yeah. Okay. Questions? Karen?
The other solution, like if it's gonna take us a year to get it, so if this money goes in, obviously it wouldn't come out till next year, or most of it, probably half of it.
Yeah.
But then next year, if you look at the numbers next year, we're down 160.
Precisely what I was just gonna bring up, is like,
Yeah.
sure, we might be able to solve it for this year,
But
again,
then it's gonna
the
pile up on
next 2 years. So this is like kind of when we put the thing up on the screen and
Yeah.
we really start like,
Yeah.
oh God, no,
Yeah.
we can't do that. Move
Yeah.
it back.
And if I may, I just want to draw the board's attention to the line item for 2032 for DPW. When going through the exercise of all the equipment that needs to be replaced in 2032, staring down the barrel of approximately $1.3 million of equipment that needs to be replaced. So I know, board, as a recommending body, it's within your purview, but kicking the can down the road to me,
Is what we
as
already
you- it scares me a little bit, because then that just keeps backing up further and further.
What did you say the total was?
For what?
For projects up to 2032?
I didn't give you, just the 2032 replacements is $1.3 million.
Right, sure.
So across everything is about $4.3 million of total equipment that could be replaced.
also that $330,000 replacement cost, that is not factoring any kind of trade-in value of the truck that we have, although I don't really expect a whole lot in return. The last couple 10-wheelers that I've seen get traded in netted about $38,000 in that range.
That's the inflation.
I was just gonna say that. It just cancels out the inflation.
I will say they haven't gotten cheaper, but they haven't gone crazy in a little while.
Yeah. This one we're gonna have to work on.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously, we've heard Seth's concern, right? I mean, they effectively need this truck next year. So that seems like priority one in my mind, and I know we haven't really done a whole lot on this as far as like the priorities. We almost have never actually filled those out. And if we stick with this system or not, I'm certainly not attached to anything, but it definitely sounds like that's the priority at this point, because if we don't have roads plowed, if we can't get through our projects and we have people standing around because they're waiting on trucks, like that's just, everything's counterproductive at that point. So I think we need to get this spreadsheet up, knowing that that expense needs to happen, and see if it's feasible within the dollar amounts that we have been proposing. Because if we've been asking for,
What year was that
Can't read my own
international you
sheet.
wanna replace?
That one's a 2015. And it has currently about 108,000 miles on it and 8,900 hours on the engine now. I didn't plug into it to see whether that, how much of that was idle hours, but
I guess if, I'm not a big fan of, leases, but if you check into a lease just to see, I mean,
Seth, do us a favor and
yep,
see if you can check into a lease.
okay,
Okay?
yep, absolutely.
I would recommend a 5 or 6 year lease
Yep.
with a dollar buyout,
Yeah.
okay?
That's similar to what we did with the roll-off truck.
Yeah, yeah. Just in another life, I did a lot of this stuff, okay?
Yeah.
Dump trucks are a little bit more difficult than construction equipment.
Yeah, there's more upfitting to them.
But you know, the other thing is, you bring up a very good point about the electronics, okay? Today's electronics, you can't fix these. These have to go out to the, you know, Cummins or Cat or, you know, the engine manufacturers, because they confiscate the codes, you know?
Yeah,
And they're tier 4 engines.
correct.
They're not tier 3 anymore,
Yeah.
you know?
And what I've been running into personally with internationals is a lot of their information is still proprietary. So unless we're gonna buy Diamond Logic and pay international to get this information, then a lot of it isn't available to us.
Right.
We are using Noragon with the J-Pro, and it's been excellent. Gives us a lot of engine information, gives us a lot of chassis information too, but there's been a lot of times with any kind of body control stuff like that, that we just can't get from Noragon because international hasn't released it to them.
Yeah, this is a quagmire for it because it's not just this coming year. It's the next 5 years, okay? We gotta do some heavy thinking here because if I'm reading this correctly, holy moly, we're $1.4 million in the hole 5 years from now.
Yeah.
If we
Stay on course.
do exactly what is on this thing, we gotta really talk about this.
and,
You know.
and I think it was last year towards the end of this project that I had mentioned that maybe we as a committee should be looking at 10 years and pushing the 5 years to the public, so it's less to, not because we're trying to hide, but content, there's less content to look at, because I feel like it's gotten us a couple times where we're, like this year, we're not looking at 2032.
or we're pushing
But
everything.
next year, when we look at 2032, it's gonna be like, oh no.
Yeah.
So, and again, I know Cam, we've had that conversation, I think,
And it's kicking the bucket down the road. And maybe it's not 10 years, maybe it's 7 years.
Sure, yeah.
It's something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But, okay, we have a quagmire here. But we want you to be able to do your job. And you've got to be forthright with us and just say, guys, I can't do it without this, okay? And be realistic. We may challenge you.
Yeah.
Okay, but, still, if we don't have a solid highway department and don't give you the tools to do your job, then we're not doing our job.
Yeah. Yep.
And we want to do that, but we're still trying to mitigate the tax rate
Absolutely.
to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
That's another question, the roller.
Yep.
Let's go back to the roller for a minute.
The asphalt
Okay?
roller.
The asphalt roller.
Yep.
How much usage would you get with that asphalt roller for the entire year? Well, how many months do you use it for?
Primarily all this time of year, really. I mean, that is probably used the least out of our fleet. Sometimes we have work for it, sometimes we don't have much for it. That's why, I mean, looking to replace that, I'm more than happy to look at a used roller. I don't see that as a
How many
frontline
months
piece.
out of the year would you use it?
3.
3?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's not, we should look at rental, okay? Rental of 3 months, okay, with Sunbelt, United, Hertz, okay?
Yeah.
Because you're a municipality.
Probably be
they-
$2,000 a month.
Yeah.
What?
Be $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
By the month, okay, they'll give you a great deal, okay, because you're in a municipality. That's one way we could skin it, okay?
Yeah.
And that roller probably would cost maybe $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
No, you're
You're
close.
it might
Yeah.
be, so that's 70, let's call it $7,500 for
Yeah.
the year versus 50,000 that you want to spend and it's going to be sitting,
Yeah.
you know?
I understand where you're coming from completely, yeah.
And then we don't have to house it. You got more room in the
You don't have to
garage.
maintain it, you don't have to do anything. If something goes wrong, they replace it.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, absolutely. I was just, for the fact of this spreadsheet, I wanted to put what we had for a fleet on here and what I felt it had left for a useful life and what it
mean,
would cost to
It
replace.
helps us,
How many miles were on that international?
108,000.
That's not really a lot of miles for a dump truck. Or a
It's not for a truck that's just hauling gravel from a pit to another pit. For a municipal truck, that's up there.
how many hours
if you
was it?
use the economic theory of replacement, it comes out to about 311,000 miles.
It has 8,900 hours on it, and like I said, I didn't either plug into it or if that one has it available on the dash, see how much of that is idle hours. Idle hours, I mean, common rule of thumb is an hour is 30 miles. So,
Okay. Super. Any more questions, Karen? Roger?
I don't know, I just think that truck could go a little longer.
You think so?
I don't know, my opinion, yeah. I mean, trucks go millions of miles. And they rebuild the motor and they keep going. When he says municipality, yeah, municipality trucks don't go that, because they just go to the voters and say, we want another one.
that truck was down 3 times last winter with DEF issues that were wiring harness changes because wires were corroded,
Exhaust
wires were
fluid,
damaged.
exhaust problems.
Yes, essentially. Not, on that particular case, not an issue with the exhaust itself, but the wiring to it, modules, things like that.
You know, how long was it down for?
Probably a week at a time each, you know. Luckily, we were able to diagnose those all ourselves, but as far as diagnosing it, getting parts, getting it swapped out, yeah.
That can happen to a brand new one.
It can, but they have a warranty.
Let's look into the lease. Can you try to get back to us on that? At least get back to Cam?
Yeah.
So that we can,
Yeah.
okay, what the lease would cost?
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
Yep,
5, 6 year lease?
yep. own it at the end.
Yep.
Yep.
And, what the rental of the compactor would be.
Yep.
For the 3 months.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but, you know, you get those guys that are out there that I'll only buy a Mac, I'll only buy this, I'll only buy that, right? International has been known for a long time to be like the budget truck.
It is the budget truck.
Does it make sense to look at a better truck, so that way it lasts a little bit longer?
I wouldn't buy anything more than, less than a Peterbilt. How's that for you?
Well, I'm just
Or a
throwing it
Mac.
out there, like,
A
it's
Mac
not
or
my
a Peterbilt.
decision, but
That-
like,
If I was buying it, I'd buy a Mac or a Peterbilt, because the
I think-
resale value of those trucks
Yeah.
are just unbelievable.
But I think, cause the bid, who had the bid, was it International now has the state bid?
Yes.
The Michigan Pass, so that's
It
how,
might be
that's
going back,
basically
yeah.
why they, I mean, you can go outside the bid, but that's where you get your cheapest truck, is whoever has that state bid at the, at that.
Buying what the state's buying.
Right.
Yeah, which they're buying all internationals now, cause they're cheaper and they can,
just
yeah.
a question.
No, but, yeah.
All my trucks were Peterbilts. All, every one. And I would put on 500, 600,000 miles on those trucks, okay? 3 years later, I got almost back in resale value, okay? The same amount of money of what I paid for that truck.
But
Okay,
back
that's
when
why
you were
I
buying
can-
trucks, though, they weren't
Okay.
electronic. Back when you're buying trucks, they weren't electronic.
It's true, Ed. But it is what it is.
Yeah. That's what gets you nowadays, is all these electronics.
If I went, in my company, if I had come in with an international truck, I'd have a lot of people giving their resignations. Sorry, but that's,
All right, we got a bunch more to here to do. We might as well
okay.
figure out.
All right, we've beaten that up. Seth, if you could get back to us on that stuff. We understand the dilemma here, and we're gonna, we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mr. Chair, may I ask one question of him? May I ask one question, just for clarity of the board? Seth, the asphalt roller that you use, that $50,000, what's the lifespan of a used one that you'd go pick up?
I mean, we've had that one for quite a while, and given its limited usage, I would probably look for another 8-10 years out of it. I mean, depending on what it is, and then depending on what it has for emissions. I mean, usually something smaller like that doesn't have it, but if it does, then that would kind of change the window.
That's all I needed, thank you.
Thanks, Kim. And anything else, Kim? No? Okay. Andy, you all set?
I'm good.
Yeah. Pat? Cool. Okay, what's our next? Is there, we got some other things with you? Yeah? What's the next thing, Seth?
Which way are we going? That's where I.
The, page 7, which is the other highway department CRFs.
What page are we on?
7.
Oh, yeah.
At least we got some money in this.
So, okay, the big enchilada is road construction.
Yep.
Okay? We're recommending, and we have been recommending, $1.5 million. How's that been working for you?
That's been working out pretty well. We've been doing 1.45. I did ask for looking at 1.5. And that's kind of really just the inflation change. That's been allowing us to get roughly 7 miles of paving. And that's reclaiming and overlaying, not all 7 miles of reclaiming, but, you know, a section that needs it, and then, overlaying. And then about 6 miles of pavement preservation, keeping what good we got good, as well as, any additional drainage work that needs to be done with the roads that we're working on.
In your estimation, how are our roads doing?
They're doing pretty good. We have a couple this year coming up that, you know, we were gonna try and hold off on, but they're not gonna allow us to, so trying to keep with that top-down, bottom-up method. We're gonna have a little bit more bottom, I see coming up this year. And that's just older roads that have been going idle for a while, so. But it's been working out well for us. We've been able to jump our pavement quality index up a couple points every year, which is good. And then also we're looking at possibly taking on a couple new roads as well, so. We've been approached about 3 new roads, and I think, what was that, about a mile and a half
Yep,
total?
about a mile and a half new road.
So,
How are you finding the pricing with the price of oil and asphalt? You know, what's your gut telling you?
AC is up really high right now, given the fact that it's an oil product. It's up over $700 a ton, so that's significantly high. We're usually right about $630 to $650 this time of year for AC a ton. But I feel like looking back through the history of the AC, which is all, the state of New Hampshire runs a tally of that. You can go right on their website and see what it is every month. We're at a peak, but I would suspect it to come back down to a normal range.
Yeah, I'm hearing that there's some new innovative product that is coming out that certain municipalities are actually trying it out for the first time, you know, in selective areas in terms of the asphalt, and it's a different configuration. Have you heard anything about that at all?
No, I haven't. I know there's a couple different types, but I mean, hot machine applies what we've been utilizing, you know, that's kind of
Right.
the
You
standard.
might want to just investigate that, okay, because there's, from what I'm hearing, okay, there's new technology
Yeah.
that may revolutionize what's going on in terms of the asphalt portion of our roads.
Yeah,
And they're testing it in very warm places, okay?
Yeah.
Because of heat.
Yeah.
Which makes a big difference with the asphalt
Yeah.
and the wear and tear of it. If that works, it could substantially lengthen the time of it, even though it may be more expensive.
yeah,
It will give you a longer run
yeah, longer useful life. Yeah,
in terms of usable life. Just, I think it's very important for you to keep up with the innovative technology that's coming out.
yeah, no, we try to attend, you know, seminars and workshops, pavement preservation seminars where they go over these types of things, and that's kind of where we've been going with the rubber asphalt chip sealing, you know, it's been working out for us, I feel. It's a cost-saving measure. It's
Right.
cheaper than paving, but it preserves the life of the road. That's why I try to
Yeah.
preserve what good we do have before it turns the corner.
Great.
As far as the new stuff, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely up for looking for new processes.
Questions? On the 1.5, okay, let's move on to the next area, sidewalk fund.
Yeah. Really just putting some money in the till to maintain our 3 miles of sidewalk, also looking to expand a little bit down toward the bay. We have, working with Mike McNally's company in there, we're looking at expanding our sidewalk from the Downing's boat launch to the east side facilities, the restrooms there, and adding in that rapid flashing beacon, so that 15,000 was just kind of to account for that work there and keep a little money in the bank for the remaining sidewalks that we do have.
Questions?
Nope, sounds good.
No? Sand shed,
Sand shed, so that, I had accounted for $10,000 in there. Our sand shed currently is in good shape. It's fairly new. There's a couple tears in the canvas, but nothing crazy. They're things that we can patch, but, again, just putting some money in the capital reserve to save up for down the road for either replacing that one or ultimately building a new one at another facility, if that.
questions? Anyone?
No.
Okay. Bridge construction,
So we just completed the Roberts Cove Road Bridge, for $399,908.67. So, that was the last of our bad bridges. All the bridges will be inspected again this year, so once we get the reports, we can kind of have an idea of where those all stand as far as what's gonna be the next priority and how far off we think that it is, but putting some money aside
so that bridge is done.
that bridge is done, yep.
So could we knock that 100,000 down to like 50, 40 or 50?
Yeah,
this
was
year?
there 100 on there? Because I had
It was
50.
100, yeah, it was 100,000.
Okay.
It was 400K, right?
We
400K.
knocked it down to 40, we took, is that okay for this year?
What's that?
Taking down 100 down to 40?
Yeah.
That,
Yeah, I might have gotten them mixed up between here and here because I had 50 on my end here.
oh,
so-
did you? Oh, it was.
But
So what do you guys want to do?
Does all the paperwork say 50? Like this paperwork that you submitted,
what's that?
does the paperwork that you submitted say 50?
Yes.
All right, I would say let's just go with 50, so that way we're not dealing with weird numbers.
Nope, that's fine. I didn't know his said 50. I saw the 100 here.
And Karen, I just want to be clear that 429 that you see for the fund balance, that does not factor out the 399 that Seth's talking about as removed. So that number is actually quite a bit less than that 429 as it sits right now. That number, just the CRF sheet that I got, still reflected without that payment in it at the time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So that will get changed. right,
Yes, sir.
Frank? Yeah. Okay. Public Works Facility. Okay, we got
Sorry.
highway building improvements, public works facility. Certainly we, we haven't funded anywhere near what a public works would be. This is more, again, upgrades or anything like that, I would imagine.
Yeah, upgrades and possibly.
You got anything going that you need to do? Okay,
Yeah, we do. The building we're in now desperately needs another set of facilities in it. Again, we've talked about it a couple times over the past 2 years that I've been here, as far as we have one bathroom for, 15 people. And, adding another bathroom to that current building that we're in. And as well as also putting some money away to possibly.
right
Get
now
some-
you got
get some plans, yeah.
$157,000 in there,
Yeah,
okay? Is that gonna take care of a bathroom?
it should take care of a bathroom, yeah.
I
But-
hope so.
But also to put together a plan set for a new building, you know what I mean? At least put something towards a new building.
Okay,
Obviously, it wouldn't be enough to fund the whole thing, but
right. So you're gonna get a bathroom in there, huh, for this year?
I would like to, yeah.
Yeah, please. I mean, that's, I would think that would be the responsible thing to do. Okay. Any questions from anybody here?
And that would just be a ladies' room, right?
Yeah, essentially. You could make it either or, but, you know what I
It'd be
mean?
nice to have 2 bathrooms.
It'd be nice to have 2 bathrooms, whether it's a
Yeah,
designated
yeah.
ladies' room or not, you know.
Okay. Questions?
No.
Roger? No? Anybody? No? Okay. Retaining wall.
Yeah, so the contribution to the next phase, so we have one more section of the wall on the west side of the bay. And that's a section from essentially the swim stairs to the Alton Bay Community Center. That section's probably in the best shape of the sections we replaced. A lot of that might hopefully just repointing the stones that are there, but just putting money away for that next section, as well as not completely draining the account because we have other walls eventually we're gonna have to start over.
So Seth, have you gotten any pricing from anybody on that?
I haven't gotten any solid pricing on that next section yet.
Do you think you could do that for us?
Yeah.
Try to get some pricing from some competitive bidders?
Some different people, because before in the past, they just said, oh, this guy does a good job, give him the job.
Yeah, no,
That's what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't get pricing.
Yeah.
They didn't get quotes. They said, this guy does a good job, give him the job.
yeah, we should get quotes from, Northeast Dock, Wolfboro Bay, Ambrose,
Yeah, definitely Ambrose.
Ambrose.
Somebody big like that, because I know that'll make this price look like it's.
So my recommendation, Ambrose, Northeast Dock, Wolfboro Dock, okay, they're all close by, okay?
Yeah,
And Ambrose. Okay?
yeah.
But also some masons, I mean, it's a mason.
It's a mason
it's
wall,
rock
yeah.
wall. Obviously, you go to Ambrose, I mean, that number's just gonna,
I know, but is there stuff in the water? Or is it,
There is a shorelines permit for it, yes. we hold that permit, I believe, until 31.
No, but is any of the wall in the
Last
water?
year, the
Yes.
water was low when they weren't in the water.
No, okay.
They don't
I wanna
do
say
it-
there was
They don't do it in August, they do it in the wintertime when it's,
Yeah.
the water's down.
Yeah, the fall. I want to say that Mr. Kinman did reach out to another company before the start of this work, and the price was 2 million, something like that, to change that with block wall. I don't remember the contractor, but just throwing that out there.
Okay. Okay, asphalt crushing,
Yep.
rock and asphalt crushing.
Yep. So, this is just a fund to crush the pile of tailings and stuff we acquire throughout the years. Typically, we're right around like a 6-year cycle right now, maybe a little less. I mean, I think they did it when Scott was here. We have a pile up there now, and I actually have a bid spec drafted that I'm hoping to bring to the Board of Selectmen at their next meeting to put that out to have that crushed. So I've got about 5,000 yards up there now currently that needs to be crushed.
And that has gone up, by the way.
What's that?
When you start putting your bids out, that's gone way up since the last time.
Yeah.
You get every year. This year went up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Says here you're gonna try to do it next year.
I'd like to get it in this year. Like I said, I have a bid.
You wanna
I
get
have
it
a
in
bid-
this year?
I have a bid drafted, yeah, for, I'd like to put
Okay,
in front of the Board of
okay.
Selectmen for the next meeting.
All right. Good. So you're thinking of doing it this year?
Yeah.
And are you thinking of spending about 60 grand?
In that neighborhood, in that ballpark, yeah.
Okay, so you'll still have 31,000 bucks there. Okay, all right, cool. That's helpful. Karen, anything?
Nope.
Roger? No? Pat? Nope. You good? No? Ken? No? Okay, all right. Bay parking lot improvements. We got 0 there.
That sounds good.
I mean, it seems to me that everything down at the bay looks pretty good.
Yeah. I had 20,000 on my end.
You had 20 grand?
Yeah.
That's on the
That's in
town-owned parking area.
Yeah.
Town-owned.
That's the next one, town-owned. It says 20 grand.
I believe that's the same CRF. I don't think that there's a
So there are
separate one.
2 on the sheet. There's a bay parking lot improvements and a town-owned parking area. Do I need to consolidate those?
Yeah, I believe it's one CRF. I think it's all town-owned parking areas is the name of it.
Okay, I'll look into that.
It covers both.
So right now, we've got 110 grand, if I'm reading this right, in town-owned parking lots.
Yep.
What are the town-owned parking lots?
They're dirt.
They're dirt?
Yeah. Got the bay parking lot, which is asphalt, and all the rest of them are dirt.
Okay, but where are they?
We have one at the east side restroom, we have both sides of the bay. And, there's like the Pearson Road parking lot, this all, so it's town-owned parking lots, all parking lots owned by the town. There's a parking lot behind the
Oh,
library, this,
oh, I got it. That's right, all of our public institutions, okay. So you got 110,000 bucks there. I thought we already did everything down at the bay. And then we got participation by some of
the pavilion.
private people.
Yeah, so a section of that parking lot down at the bay is owned by the pavilion, and they, at the same time that the town replaced the parking lot, they paid to pave their portion as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
yeah.
So we shouldn't need anything there for a while, right?
So that's on the east, the east side of 11. We still have all the porous pavement and stuff on the other side of 11 as well, that's ours, it's not as new.
Yeah, okay.
And that is, again, that's porous pavement, so a little bit of a cost difference and maintenance difference between porous pavement and, the regular asphalt.
Yeah. All right. Questions? Anybody?
Not for this body. It's mainly just, I mean, like parking, you know, anybody who's been through the bay on a busy weekend is an absolute nightmare down there. Like, is there any like opportunity in the future we can work with the state to try and figure that out? Cause
Well,
people just park everywhere.
Well, they park everywhere, but I think it would be better for us to work with the Christian Conference Center, Ben more so than the state, for God's sakes, all right? Maybe they would be a little bit more accommodating, you know? They, even if they have a field up there that they don't utilize, you know?
Which one's that?
Right,
straight
you
up.
go right up, right in that front there, there's a field on the left-hand side. Okay, they don't use it, you know?
Well, when you go up the hill?
Up the hill, yeah. On the left.
I mean, the hill there?
No, right, yeah, it abuts our parking lot. There's
Well, the town owns most of that grass there,
the grass, but,
and the rest of it's a septic system.
Yeah, there's a giant set.
was that the septic system?
And anyway, I didn't mean to sideline this whole group, I just,
Okay,
I'm thinking parking areas.
all right.
All right, so now, what, we got parts and
Okay, we got anything else, Seth?
grounds and maintenance?
Okay, so you have your, you kind of have your marching orders, okay? I want to commend you. You've done an excellent job. Thank you very much for what you do for this town.
Thank you.
You know, and, you know, it doesn't go unnoticed.
Thank you, appreciate that.
And we're gonna find this board will find a way to accommodate your needs. We just gotta try to, you know, you and the fire department are the heavy lifters here, and, you know, we just gotta find a way to accommodate both of you.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
But that deficit is, we gotta really work that over
Yeah,
and figure it out. Anything you can do to help us, okay, with that
absolutely.
would be,
We need to get it into a series where we're doing good for the highway department this year, and we're doing good for the fire department next year, rather than, you know, trying to
yeah.
give them both everything
Yeah,
they need.
yeah, it's a balance, and that's what we gotta try to do, and I thought we were trying to do that over the last couple of years, Roger, you know?
And honestly, we have successfully been doing that.
I thought
But
we,
if something doesn't get funded, especially when we're running such tight balances, if something doesn't get funded 1 year, like, it throws everything off, and that's where we are today. So it's a nice, even, steady, consistent total appropriation to all of the various CRFs. But then when you take 1 year off to bring it back in, it's a completely different story.
okay. Thanks, Seth. Any other questions for Seth at this point? No. But you're gonna get back to us with those 3 or 4 different items?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. Get it to Cam, and we'll, if we need your assistance to come in, would you mind coming back?
Nope,
one
not
more
at all.
time?
Not at
Okay, because, you know, this is really important.
Absolutely.
Okay? And we wanna get that deficit, taking Roger's heed, that we gotta figure this out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All righty,
All right,
you're done.
Is he?
Oh,
No, he's
got more.
He's got
Grounds
solid
maintenance?
waste and he's got ground and maintenance.
What?
We still got like 3 more things to do.
Oh, did I miss it?
He's in charge of like way more than,
Yeah, on to the next page, he's grounds and maintenance.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
we got other grounds and maintenance. I don't know where that
All
came
right,
from.
what's the next one up?
Oh, not a lot, though.
What's the next one up?
It's page 8,
Caravan.
just continued on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Seth's like, I will leave.
Seth had his chance.
Yeah, he did, he did.
Not quick enough.
All right, so,
Dodge.
what do we got?
so for 27, it had the Dodge Caravan, and that's the grounds and maintenance, that's the custodian's vehicle. We bought that used. It's a 2008 Dodge Caravan with no seats in it. It gets filled with cleaning supplies and toiletries and what have you, and that's what she uses to clean all the facilities within town. Being that it was a used minivan, we paid very, very little for it, but it has developed some heavy rust issues with the body itself. And again, that's a vehicle that I would look to replace with another used vehicle.
Okay,
hopefully something a little more commercially oriented, like a Ford Transit van or something along those lines, rather than a minivan. And I hear that minivans are the hot new vehicles, so I think the price of them's going up.
Yeah, it looks like you got
You
enough
look
in the
down
current.
there at Merchants down there and Hooksett, I mean, they got a lot of those down there.
Like the commercially vans, like the transit vans or the Sprinter vans or something like that.
Yeah.
Even the same size as a caravan, it's just not a caravan.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm speaking of, yeah, one of those smaller ones, not talking like the big Sprinters, but like one of the smaller ones.
Have you guys been scrolling the municipality?
Like Municipid or
Yeah.
something like that. I
Yeah.
look through it from time to time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
You never know what you find on those, sometimes you find something.
yeah,
Well, you know, I mean, you guys in the fire department usually
yeah,
look at it pretty good, I think.
yeah.
Roger's right, Merchants has got some great deals.
Yeah.
Also, take a look at leasing it, okay?
Yeah,
They have great lease deals on those caravans, great ones. Most of the private schools, that's all they do is they get them from Merchants, you know, and they lease them for 2 or 3 years and, you know, you might
Yeah.
wanna look at that.
okay.
Okay. Any questions for Seth on these trucks in caravan? Okay, not hearing any. Down to the next item. AVS building improvements.
I was looking at, just, community center, 20K.
Anything on that, Seth?
On the AVAS building?
Yeah.
I don't have anything glaring. We did just look at some prices for some mini splits, just because there's no air conditioning in that building, and the windows that are in it don't support a window-mounted unit. It's not on here, because as I said, this was literally just the other day. We were looking at about $6,000 to put mini splits in that building to air condition and heat the office spaces.
Okay.
Other than that, don't have anything glaring wrong with that building.
Which building was it? I missed that first.
It's the Parks and Rec building.
Oh, Parks, yeah.
Okay. Alton Bay Community Center?
So that was another one that was, the Alton Bay Community Center, I'm sorry. I had 20,000 on the Alton Bay Community Center. And, again, contributions for upkeep and repairs, that rear deck and the footings are, they're wet, they're aged, it's time to start looking at the footings for that back deck portion.
Okay.
And I'm sure that's also gonna require a shorelands permit, because the footings are set just off the edge of the water.
Any questions? Okay.
No.
Karen?
No.
Probably the most heaviest used deck in town, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right, senior center.
So there was no contribution in '26 to that, if I'm correct. So, again, contributions for upkeep and repairs. We have 3 decks off that building that need to be updated. They're weathered, the boards are sprung, they're cracked, they're pulling away from the building, so I'd like to get those addressed. And that part, the generator there also should probably be evaluated. I know we talked about it last year, and like I said, we didn't really do much with it because it wasn't funded, but those are my glaring items. That building is used heavily daily as the, community center with the community action program and the senior programs and stuff like that, so. This is also one of our storm shelters. Yeah.
Seth, what's the number that we should be looking at in that count as our, like, comfortable number? Because, you know, as we look forward, I understand, like, the unanticipated expenses come out of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, looking out towards the future, I mean, we're gonna go up to we're gonna eventually end up at like $300,000, on paper, because there's no expenditures associated with, that specifically. What is, like, the number that we should be looking at having in that account at any given time?
Well, I would feel more comfortable around 100, to be honest with you, just because of what that building is and what it could be used for if need be. And, you know, if there is any unanticipated repairs that need to happen to keep it at that capacity.
Okay. Well, that gives us a little bit of breathing room there. Okay. Questions? Andy, Pat, Roger?
I'm all set.
No? Okay, cool. All right. All right, Seth, I think that's.
Nope, we still got number, page 10.
Is it?
Page
I
10.
think it's it,
Yeah,
okay?
no,
You know,
Send him
next.
home.
you know,
It ain't happening.
I wanted to get you out of here, Seth. I was
Not done.
trying. These people are killing me. You know?
I do think this is the last one.
But again, I want to commend, I want the committee, we commend you for a job well done.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate
And
that.
please keep it up,
Yeah.
all right? Okay?
Thank you.
Our roads, the equipment, it's all important, even this little stuff. We've got to take care of our seniors too, okay? I'm getting to that age, I may be going down there, okay?
Yeah.
I want to make sure the generator works.
Yep.
Okay? All right. Any more questions for Seth? No? If not? Thank you, Seth.
No, on the solid waste, we
solid
got one
waste.
more.
Solid waste.
Page 10.
Page 10.
10.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Seth.
That's okay.
I'm trying to get you out of here, you know? All right.
Okay.
Which one is it, solid waste?
Solid waste, so in discussions with Seth, there are some items that we moved into the Solid Waste Recycling Department Center CRF. It was all previously listed under the recycling fund.
Yeah.
But some of that equipment, if I'm correct, Seth, cannot really come out of that fund because it's not used for recycling.
Correct.
So the SW 1, 5, and 6 are all now under that CRF that has $12,919 in it.
So, yeah, we looked at the way, the language, I did, the language for the revolving fund, and it is strictly for items used in recycling. The pickup truck, I suppose you could label that as being used for recycling. I mean, you could haul a load of styrofoam with it, but, the majority of what that truck does is maintain the facility itself and go get fuel for the other stuff. SW5 and SW6, those are fixed mounted, those are the trash compactors. Those are not used for.
Roll-off truck, that brings all the recycling to the.
The roll-off truck is in the revolving, was moved to the revolving fund, yeah.
You'll see.
Because that
Yeah.
does move the recyclables.
CRF.
Okay, just, oh, okay, didn't say that next.
Yeah, so like SW4, the Bobcat, that's primary role is moving recyclables. SWD9, that's the recycling baler, that bales the recyclables, and then the loader moves recyclables, and obviously the roll-off truck hauls them to market, so.
So the issue is we only have $12,919 and the one that we have to come up with like 70,000?
Yeah.
Compactor and a pickup.
Oh, compactor.
So what is the 2027 replacement year accurate? I mean, obviously the truck's not a 1997.
No.
I think that's just,
It's not, it's a 2019.
okay,
So keeping in that same 10-year lifespan, we put it in 29.
okay.
The balers are both, sorry, not the balers, but SW5 and SW6 are both 2010s. They were put in there at the same time.
Okay.
For argument's sake, SW5 was already repaired. It was damaged That being said, it now has a new undercarriage, so it's in a little bit better shape than SW6.
So those really should have gone in.
No, they have a 20-year lifespan, and we actually just had this year's preventative maintenance done to them and an evaluation. Those machines have been relined once already, and that's kind of their halfway point in their life is when they've been relined, because they can line the bottom and the sides, they can't line the top. So once the top starts wearing out, or once they're built up too much on the bottom, that's kind of when it's time to ship them. So they're actually tracking pretty well as far as where they are. I think they'll make it until 2030, 2029 for one of them, 2030 if you want to split them up.
Your 2022 Hitachi loader,
Yep,
the 180, it's a 2022.
yep.
It says the lifespan's 5 years.
That was how it was structured before, and I'm only guessing because I didn't speak with them, but that was trading that machine in while it still had a high resale value, keeping it in the warranty period.
That seems to be really, that 2027 seems to be really low to me.
Yeah.
Okay, even when it has high usage, it's, that's a beast.
Yeah.
You know,
Like I said, the thought there was getting it traded in while it still had a high resale value, while it was still under warranty.
if you traded it in, you would get some really good money for it. There's no question about it. Okay, all right. But this really doesn't affect our tax base.
The top one does, which, the compactors and the pickup.
Yeah.
So, there's one on our side, I don't know if you're looking at the same document, Seth. One was for 27, the other one was 34. I'm assuming the 34 is the one that got relined most recently, perhaps?
Yeah, so if I could,
Those line items are just incorrect. I will be
Okay,
updating those.
all right, okay.
So,
yeah, so me and Cam have been working on this as far as moving things around and putting them more so where they belonged and trying to clarify some of this, because when you get the CIP number on this sheet with our unit number, it's vastly confusing, but, so, I would put both of those as 2030. That being said, if you want to split that up, I would say take SW5 and push that to 29, just because that's the one that hasn't had the bottom end replaced in it. One of them's getting rusty on the bottom, and the other one's already been replaced because it was backed into.
Is it gonna be an additional expense having them come back a separate time to install the other unit? Does it make more sense to do them both at the same time, or is it insignificant?
It's not, yeah, it's insignificant, really. They're more or less just bolted to the ground where they are. The chutes would pretty much be the same. It wouldn't be like a new install. And I do still feel that the $30,000 is an accurate ballpark for them.
So you need one this year and one in 20.
No.
no, those years are incorrect. It would be 29 and 30.
Do we need a pickup truck there?
And even the pickup would be going up to 29.
Seth, do we need a pickup truck at the, up there?
Yeah, they use it quite frequently. Like I said, they do haul styrofoam with it from time to time when there's not a big demand. And also, it has the tank in the back that they haul fuel for the loader and the Bobcat and everything else with.
Okay.
They plow, and it has a sander in the back as well.
You probably got 20 other pickups in town that have, well, not 20, but you probably have a bunch of other ones that have a tank in them, don't you?
The old forestry unit that we have has a tank, and then another one of the highway vehicles has a tank in it as well.
Okay.
But they work a different schedule than us, so does it, you know what I'm saying?
Only fill up on Mondays.
Yeah. Yeah, the sander is also, again, another big factor to that pickup truck being up there, is they can plow and treat the parking lot walkways themselves.
Okay. Questions for Seth? No.
He's afraid to say we're done.
Landfill closure,
Landfill
capital
closure.
reserve fund.
Yep.
The last hit?
Yeah, SWD two.
I'm sorry. Anything on that, son?
Yes. So I had on my end there, and I had 25,000, and again, that's the annual contribution. And that's covering mainly the required testing and maintenance of the landfill cap. The landfill is closed, we're no longer adding to it, but it is also a beast that we have to maintain and monitor every year. And that cost goes up and down depending on what the state has allocated for testing to be done. So, last year, I wanna say we spent somewhere in the vicinity of $16,000 in testing of the landfill. And that's groundwater, the condition of it itself, and, air quality. And we also are required to mow it twice a year, and we have found that hiring the mowing out is cheaper than renting a mower and mowing it. So, we've been hiring the mowing out.
Okay.
Would also, like to keep adding a little bit additional in there for down the road, if the state comes through and changes the testing requirements, and now all of a sudden we don't meet the standards, then we're gonna have to remedy that, and whatever that may be, usually isn't cheap.
Yeah, they don't change it for the cheaper.
No. And they don't make the standards lesser.
But we do have 213 grand there right now.
Yeah. But if we have a leachate outbreak, or if all of a sudden we have to change a portion of that liner, we're talking that money easy, yeah.
Okay.
What is your comfort number in that account? Is it 200K?
Yeah, I mean, we had a small amount of oil go into the river, and we're at $40,000 for that, never mind a leaking landfill.
I remember Scotty mentioning too in the past too, like them potentially requiring new wells, and now you gotta go put in
Right.
6 new
So if the
wells.
state changes their standard and we have to do additional testing, we may have to put wells elsewhere, that's what I'm saying, there's all kind of.
If I may clarify for the board, this would be my mistake on this and trying to clean this up. The landfill closure CRF has $33,415 in it. That $200,000, there's, I'm assuming, another collapsed value in this merged spreadsheet, which encompasses the solid waste building and site improvements, which solid waste building and site improvements is $213,000 in that account. So that's accounting for both of those. So there's only 33,000 in the landfill closure CRF. So I will check this sheet and get that corrected on it. So my apologies.
Okay, so there's only 30 grand in there? Okay. All right. That's the full amount, okay, I got it. Oh, yeah, I see it. So Cam, you're gonna correct that, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, okay. All right. I don't know if there may be a fund at the state of New Hampshire that does, there's a fund that, I know that there's an odds fund for oil, but I don't know if there's one for landfills. You might want to look into that.
There could be. I'm not familiar myself if there is one
I'm not
for.
familiar with it. I know that there's money for oil.
Yeah.
Okay? It's called the odds fund, and, public and private enterprises can reach out to the state, and they pay for the cleanup. So there could be some stuff at the state level, and maybe even at the federal level,
Yeah.
okay? If you would look into that, please.
Yeah.
So. Finally, is there anything else that we need to talk to Seth about? I've only had him out of here 3 times, okay? The guy won't move. I'll tell you, he knows better. I'll tell you, I give you credit, Seth. I really do. I apologize on that part. I mean, I didn't realize we encompassed that into your thing. Thank you.
It's all part of Public Works.
Okay,
Thank you, Seth.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. Moving right along to the agenda. So, next meeting is September 14th. And we're gonna have the fire department, the library department, and we're gonna draft up some CIP recommendations September 14th. Is everybody comfortable with September 14th and the September 28th meeting?
Right now, yes.
Right now, okay?
Yes.
September 28th, I might not be back.
Okay,
I'll be flying in the 28th, I just don't know what time yet, that's the only
all
thing.
right, thank you, okay,
I might be earlier, might be later.
okay, cool. But everybody else, it's okay?
Yes.
Yep, okay. And September 14th, okay. It's scheduled that we're gonna, the committee will present to the planning board on October 20th. Tentative planning board public hearing is November 17th at this point. If it changes, we'll let everybody know. Okay, we will present to the planning board, I'm sorry. We will present to the selectmen and the budget committee on November 24th or December 8th, okay? Anybody got any comments about any of those dates? Okay. Any questions, comments, and further discussion? Certainly, it appears that we got some work to do in trying to figure out how we can accommodate the DPW, and I suspect we're gonna have the same issue with the fire department. And so it will be interesting, but I would like to get everybody to getting their thinking caps on, okay? And thinking outside the box is always, I think, a good thing for us, you know? Such as leasing, rentals, used equipment, whatever we might be able to do.
The equipment we have and getting more life out of it.
Roger,
You know, a
absolutely.
brand-new truck can break down,
There's no question about it.
and you can wait a month for a part on a brand-new one.
Or a month for somebody to service it, okay? Because we can't service these new units. I'm hearing war stories. As a matter of fact, there was one of the states just put into their RSAs that equipment dealers have to give the codes now to
They should, I mean, that's,
you know, they're controlling the workmanship, okay? And they have to give the codes to people that buy the equipment, have to do it now. And I think you're gonna see more of that state by state handling that, because it's just not right, it's not fair. You know, companies like John Deere, Cat, Cummins, you know, Komatsu, and then your big trucks, Mack, Peterbilt, they're all being criticized for the fact that you need the codes to take care of these electronics. And it's going to become a huge problem. So I'm hoping to see that, because that is just unfair to the end users. Okay. I'm going to go to public input. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to us? Okay, excluding Seth. Okay. Hey, Paul, come on in. Yeah.
Yeah, you can keep.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you all for this great work, because the doggone budget is a royal pain, and the more input we have from more people and the more thought that goes into it, and to the extent that we can convince the public, the voting public, that there's some thought going into this, it's all to the good. I would like to hope that you can favorably act on the renaming of that police expansion fund, because that's the kind of thing that people glance at and they instantly question, what's everybody thinking? And I'm sure from a paperwork point of view, it's probably a pain and requires 500 documents to be tweaked, but we only got to do that once. On the other hand, we got to explain that it's not an expansion fund every year until we get it fixed. So whatever degree of influence you have on getting that done, I hope you'll use it. The third thing I wanted to say was, with electronics, we're talking about the police body cameras and how much they're likely to go up. My experience with electronics is they tend to go down, and they tend to go down rather drastically. I don't know if that's going to be the case with these things, and I don't know if the electronics part of it is 10% of the total cost, and the rest of it is all administrative and hoopla that's not so easy to budge that way. But please keep that in mind, at least as a possibility. And finally, I use our YouTube scheme for watching meetings fairly frequently, and our sound system is not very substantial, shall we say. And I've gotten complaints from members of the public that said, I just can't hear it. I watch and I see people's mouths moving, but I don't hear much of anything. And I know Ryan has had the company that supplies this stuff come in and make adjustments and all, but one thing that you might want to do is lean into these things as you speak, because it's really easy when you're digging at a bunch of paperwork to get away from the mic, and as soon as you do, we lose you. If you get a chance, just watch this meeting and see if your particular voice is coming across as well as you'd like it to. Otherwise, just thank you for all your efforts. You got the whole autumn schedule all set up, so it'll take all your time and you won't be able to do anything else, and that's just great. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick.
Don't run away.
Is this the
Yeah,
gentleman?
that's Richard Shea.
Hi, Mr. Shea, I want to thank you for your articles in the Baysider. I
Oh,
think
the update things?
The update articles that you write after the selectmen meetings, at a high level, you talk in those articles about what was talked about, and they're very informative, very helpful. I've never seen that done before, and I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I hope to continue doing it, but there's one great advantage of being retired, and that is you can do that kind of stuff. So, thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick.
Seeing no one else and hearing no one else, public input is finished. I would entertain an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.